Alright, making a video right now. It's been a while, but I've been busy with school and stuff. But I want to talk about something that's been bothering me. And this is kind of piggybacking off of the Comic Movie Marks video about how mediocrity wins, which was a great video, by the way. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link in the description so you can go see it. They're dead on about everything they say. But I would just like to add that mediocrity has already won. You know, it's already been winning since, like, what? 2002, you know? I mean, it's rare that we get films nowadays that are really high quality, that push the limits of cinema and stuff, and don't treat the audience like a bunch of idiots, which is all you get nowadays. I know a lot of people that are MCU fans that were kids when Iron Man first came out, the first Iron Man. Like a lot of people that are like 17, 18 years old now, they were about 7, 8 years old when Iron Man came out, you know? So you gotta imagine, if you're a little kid seeing Iron Man for the first time, you're probably gonna think it's like the greatest thing ever. But at that time, I was in like middle school, about to go on to high school and stuff, and I saw The Dark Knight in theaters. So my mind was already being like shaped by that. And I was being exposed to cinema like that, you know? Seeing The Dark Knight in theaters as like a 7th, 8th grader, you know? Like, it blew me away. And I thought, wow, films are going to get better and better. Like, this is just the start. Like, films are going to try to mimic this, and this is going to be what cinema is going to be for like the next 15 years. And it's kind of like the opposite thing happened. Of course, we got The Dark Knight Rises after that, which I loved. I don't understand people's obsession with hating The Dark Knight Rises. But it's a good-ass film, and it still holds up. I mean, the plane sequence alone in The Dark Knight Rises is more ambitious than any Marvel movie ever, you know? Than any MCU movie has ever done. Nothing has been more ambitious than that plane sequence, which half of it was shot for real, you know? And the other half was shot with miniatures and stuff, but, you know, that being said, a lot of that was shot for real, which was insane to see on screen. And that's pushing the limits of cinema. You know, that's not mediocre. Like, if you thought that plane sequence was just, like, average and shit, you're wrong. That is pushing the limits of what cinema could do, and we don't get that anymore with any, you know, comic book film now. We were getting it with BVS, but of course that had to end, right? And now we got people saying that the new Game of Thrones episode, The Long Night, I think is what it's called, is not good, it's too dark, not enough fan service, all these bullshit complaints from people that will turn around and say that Endgame is the best film of the year. And you can't make this shit up. You know, people honestly think Endgame is better than episode 3 of Game of Thrones. And it's fucking insanity. Because that episode of Game of Thrones is all fan service. We've seen what we wanted to see for the last 7 seasons. The fight between the undead and the living. That's all we wanted to see for 7 seasons. And we finally got it, and it was epic. It was an hour-long fucking fight. And since Game of Thrones likes to play with your expectations, we were all expecting most of the cast to die, but in fact, most of them lived. So I guess people are mad that they played with your expectations. I don't know. I don't understand anybody's complaints about this episode. But that just goes to show how mediocrity has changed the culture. To where people can look at Endgame and think it's a good movie, and then turn around and look at, you know, Game of Thrones, whose cinematographer is Fabian Wagner, you know, the guy who works with Zack Snyder, and they turn around and say that the scenes are too dark and they can't see anything. Or where's all the colors? Like, it's all bullshit. There was more work put into that Game of Thrones episode than Endgame. And that's just a fact, alright? There was more care and attention to detail put into Game of Thrones than any MCU movie. But of course, people are so used to mediocre things that they'll look at something that's extraordinary, like Game of Thrones, something that's never been accomplished before on the small screen. It's a fucking TV show, and it's better than most movies. We've never seen anything like this before. You can't get more high quality in this. But since people are so trained to like Marvel movies and low quality things and nostalgia, that they'll shit on anything that's new, you know? I've never seen anything like the Game of Thrones episode. I've never seen anything like that. A huge wave of undead crashing on Dothraki. Like, I've never seen anything like that. That was fucking epic on a scale that we haven't seen since, like, Lord of the Rings. And all people could do is fucking bitch about it. Just like they bitch about every good thing. But they give mediocre things a pass, like Endgame. They'll just give it a pass because it plays on your nostalgia, you know? It shows you what you want to see. And that's why people give it a pass. And I'm fucking sick of it. Endgame wasn't a good movie. It made 0 sense. Thanos at the end of Endgame doesn't even know who the Avengers are. So why the fuck would he care? The Thanos at the end of Endgame is the Thanos from the past before he even met the Avengers. So how does he have any connection to them? Where's the stakes? You know, like what does it matter? Why should we care about Thanos and Iron Man's confrontation at the end of Endgame? Can anybody explain that? Why should anyone give a fuck? But you get an army of undead fighting the living in a Game of Thrones episode, and all anybody could complain about is how dark it is because they're too fucking dumb to turn up the brightness on their TV or get a new fucking TV because their TV's shit. So they blame the episode because they're fucking so used to mediocrity. And it's just frustrating. This was kind of like just a rant, you know? Nothing really got accomplished in this. I just wanted to vent a little bit about how dumb people are for thinking Game of Thrones is not as good as Endgame. I mean, how fucking dumb do you gotta be? Anyway, that's it for now. Comment below. Let me know how much you hate mediocre things. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.